solutions for you during today's webinar, okay? And I will also ask you to participate and to send your questions because, look, we are here to have a debate and a conversation about this theme. I will present you my perspective, my experience, and I hope you can also participate. And talking about nuclear family, do you identify, for example, any individuals that you have conflict with? Do you tend to take on the role of the victim, or you are more the initiator of the harm? Okay, with no judgments, but which side are you? Do you think you are more peaceful, or you cause harm, or it varies sometimes? What happens to you? You can write on your comments, okay? What insights or lessons have emerged from this family relationship you have nowadays? Have you learned with them? Have you more things to teach them? What do you think? And how are you dealing with the difficult conscience? Because inside a nuclear family, what I've been observing is that we always have some people that we have affinity, but other people, sometimes more than one, we have this affinity, and that's our point for today's webinar, okay? How to deal with these affinities, with this challenging conscience. It's the way we are calling them. And let's see if we are also a challenging conscience inside our relationships. So let's try today to improve our family relationships and foster interassistance within the group. Learn how to improve our communication, because communication, people, is the key. Sometimes the main aspect that you have to improve is the way you communicate. If you are overdoing some stuff in some behavior, in some aspect of your communication, then you can change and things will improve dramatically from this point on. Okay, so don't believe in anything in what I'm saying here. Have your own experiences. That's the main point, and we are always mentioning the principle of disbelief because it's something very important for us who study Conscienciology. Okay, and let's think about our group karma. What is this concept about? Group karma is our evolutionary group, and this group might be big. It's not only the family, but our parents, siblings, our partner, and relatives, friends, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. So our group karma might be very big. And we might have very productive and fraternal and warm connections with them, or we might have egotistic relationships in which there are competition and in which we are more self-centered and we compete, we want attention, we demand from others some behaviors that they are not prepared to give. Okay, so who is your group karma? Have you identified who are they, and how are your relations with them? Okay, so that's something that we wanted to share with you as well. Yes, Ana.
I have a question. In the case that I don't know, some of the people that are watching us might identify with this sensation that I had when I was a child. I had the sensation that I was the ugly duck. And I was in a family of beautiful, beautiful ducks. They are all related so well between themselves. And I felt so much out of place. So in that way, I was always the creator of the conflicts. How do you see this kind of situation?
It happens because what I've been seeing is that the ugly duck, sometimes it is really the ugly duck because it causes harm and the family has to assist the ugly duck. But sometimes the ugly duck is some consciousness that is a bit more evolved than the group and is there to help. It's a concept that we call cosmoethical infiltration, or a person is born in a family to interassist them, to help them, because she is more mature, she is more fraternal, she has had in her previous lives, she was had connections with that people, and sometimes very positive connections, sometimes not so positive, but she is born now to help these people. And I see myself sometimes when I remember my childhood as the ugly duck, and I was very much assisted by my group. But there was a time in my life in which I became like let's put this way, no judgments, okay? But I was the one who was more mature to help my siblings, for example, to take decisions, um, to lead, or to be the leader of some difficult aspect or problem we had to solve together. So I took the leadership of the family and helped them. So of course, this is always an exchange. It's what we call interassistance. But you have to analyze which is your case, okay?
So the ugly duck became a beautiful goose, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not all the time, okay?
Yes.
Because we are humans. We have not all the time, but in some situations we help a lot because we have a vision that is, for example, if we assume that we are intermissivists, we have taken an intermissive course, we have this multidimensional view. We are more universal. We have a praxis, like an existential program or mission we have to do, and so we are able to have a broader view, not only thinking that we are in this family now, but I belong to other families before. So each conflict, let's solve it. Let's practice the forgiveness. So if we have a problem, let's try to understand and move forward. Okay.
Very good. So thank you. And it's beautiful to know that from the condition of the ugly duck and mostly the scapegoat that always gets something of what is happening, even the psychology has that point of view as well. Like there is that child that polarizes all the problems so that the rest of the family can exist in some more functional way. So this is also a case, and it's part of the evolution process as well. Over time, if that child decides to commit to self-knowledge and to get helped in other ways and search other ideas, then you can really become a beautiful goose and have a life of an assistant instead of just being the problem child, right?
Yes, and Anna, look, what I've been seeing is that these people, all these people that are challenging people, they have many strong traits. They have many good qualities, skills. They're skilled people, and we have to see behind the scenes who are these consciousnesses. If they're here, they're challenging people today, but they have these good skills, these strong traits. Let's value them. Let's see that the reality of those consciousness, and see if with those strong traits we can help them to redo, to to improve their weak traits. I think it's a good path to follow.
Very
Okay,
good.
can
Let's
can
go
we go
forward.
for I will put the next slide. Okay. So people, we talked about then our group karma, and try to think and take notes today. Who is your group karma? The people who you are most connected with. And let's think about this powerful bond of love that is our family, okay? And as we are mentioning here, people are born to re-educate themselves. We come into this life, people, to become a better version of ourselves. It doesn't matter which family we are, which context we are, and family are usually the best families is those families who respect diversity, diverse personalities, and respect each one's will. And that's where problems start, is when we have different personalities, different tastes, and there is someone that doesn't allow the person to be who she is. There is some leader. Sometimes it's the parent. Sometimes it's a sister or a brother, and that's that brother that there is some personality inside the family that tries to impose their beliefs, what's better, what's more adequate for the other consciousnesses. This is where things start to get a little bit tense inside a family. I don't know if you agree with me, but this is where when we have impositions, when we don't respect the other free will, okay? And it's what I can say to you is that it's possible, it's very much possible to grow together within the differences, the different personalities that we have inside the family. It's possible. It's only a matter of finding the balance between what the other think, what the other thinks that is important. I have how do I respect, how do I behave with this person to really show that I carried him. That's the ideal. But I come, for example, from a family that is from Italian descendants and it's very affectionate, but there are lots of interference in one another. The way they show love to each other is interfering, okay? Not now, nowadays, not so much, but in the past, people in my family used it to interfere a lot and give opinions and well, that sometimes wasn't so welcome because we really want to have our freedom inside our families. Isn't that so? And then comes a question: why did I choose? Have I chose to stay to be born inside this family? Was that for me an imposition from the helpers? Do I have a karma with that family? Why am I born in this family? Why did I have this sister, this brother, this father? I don't know if you have already asked yourself about these questions, but we studied that in Conscienciology. And if we ask how and when do we form a family, the hypothesis that we study in Conscienciology is that we choose a family before being born while we are in the extra-physical period, okay? So when a baby is born, for example, into a family, or maybe he is adopted, and they are going to begin a brand new journey of evolution, that is not by chance. That was agreed before, okay? What do you think about it? Does that make sense for you who are watching us? Okay.
Well, our
So,
public doesn't have any questions for now, but I do. So that point of view where I chose a family, and that family supposedly is the better opportunity for us as a group to evolve. Would it be that way?
yes, sure,
Mm-hmm.
Anna. That's when we are in the extra physicality, we are in the extra physical period. There are helpers, there are helpers that are specialized in group karma, let's put this way. And they help us to see which people we have bonds in past lives, and which are more adequate for us to be born today. And these bonds might be, for example, formed by, they might be very positive, or pathological bonds in which we have to recompose our group karmic relations. And that's most of the families today are formed because there is an interpretation between the people. And to have a life today, to have a life together in a family would be a very good chance for the people involved to cause what we call recomposition, group karmic recomposition, in which we are going to pay our debts with each other. We are going to help each other to evolve. And so how is a family formed? Okay, in the extra-physical environment, possibly during the intermissive course. What is the intermissive course? Is a course between two lives in which you are invited to participate, and you can accept or not. And this has some disciplines that will help us to do our practices, our existential program, our mission in life. Okay, and how is that process between the future child that's going to be born and the mother? So there is a type of kind of selection in which we are helped by helpers, as I told you, specialized helpers in resoma. And this the child that is going to be born, he starts getting nearer the mother, the future mother, the possible parents, not only the mother, but also the parents, but mainly the mother, because the fetus is going to be next to the mother to facilitate the new resoma. And with the time, that consciousness, that extra-physical consciousness, undergoes a process known as restriction of lucidity. So he starts being less lucid, okay, like becoming a baby and remaining near the pregnant mother, and while the fetus is being developed, okay, and ready for birth. During this time, there is what we call a sympathetic assimilation between the two consciousnesses involved, the mother and the extra-physical consciousness. And in sympathetic assimilation, we call symbias, okay? And this is the phase in which there is an adaptation of the extra-physical consciousness that soon will be having an intraphysical life. And what can happen during this period of restriction, that consciousness to be born might meet the future mother as extra-physically in projections, in out-of-body experiences that might be lucid or not so lucid, but they start having their relationship. So I think it's very interesting for us to know that it's all planned before the kid is born, and there are chances for adaptation and for interactions, right? So this is, if you, I don't know, I have some friends who have kids, and they said that they knew they are going to have a kid. They were told about that they would have a son, a male son, or a boy. And I think it's very interesting for us to know. Yes, Anna, do you have any?
Yeah, sometimes, yes, some people have these interactions, and if they are not good, would it be a cause, for instance, of a miscarriage or sometimes a stillborn?
I think so, and I think that even the mother, there are mothers who are felt noxious, felt very sick during pregnancy, and there is a hypothesis that this consciousnesses involved mother and the future child had some kind of different patterns of energy, and that was part of the adaptation with each other, being sick, feeling noxious during the pregnancy. And I think that, for example, there are situations that we have to mention here in which the child that is going to be um, that is near the mother to be born was her intruder in the past, okay? And there is difficulty for her to be born in that mother again. Although they agreed in some way to be born together, to help each other, there is incompatibility of energies, and that might
It's a
end up
difficult
in a
pregnancy.
miscarriage. That might, it's a hypothesis. By hypothesis, for me, it makes sense because look, when we had some um, um, some relationship in our past that wasn't positive, was pathological, either by one's fault or the other fault, some negative energy were created in that relationship of the past. We say here let's put this way, there is in some pathological energy with low vibrational state of energy were imprinted in that relationship, and so that's why it's necessary a reconciliation among those consciousness. But it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for them.
And
They
despite
have
of
to.
that restriction, the pattern of energies, it persists because it comes from other lives, right?
Yes, it might come from other lives, and if that happens, it's going to be difficult. And it's exactly what we are going to see in our next slide, okay? Because we can see, let's put it here, we can see that when a baby is born, for example, we have here, um, uh, it's difficult for a baby to be born. For example, how many babies die during childbirth? It might have connection with that let's say, group karmic interpretation. Not only that, it can be for totally intraphysical causes as well. But that's a hypothesis to be considered. Okay, now we are here debating, talking, and let's see the hypothesis. Another situation that we consider in the soma, or the rebirth of the soma, is how many babies are born with serious health issues, right? And another thing we have to consider is every time we resonate and start a new life, new intraphysical life, we are very dependent on others. We depend not only on the mother, the father, the doctor, the physician that has to help that child to be born again. So it's a lot of factors going on, okay? And then there is that we can say, what are the criteria? For example, we are in the extra physicality, we are together with function specific helper that are helping that consciousness to resonate, to have a new life. Which criteria would we choose for a new family? For example, some basic criteria. A new family should provide protection, health, happiness, education, emotional support, and we have to consider the past life bonds. So this, if the family is able to provide this, it's going to be great. But not all the families. That's doesn't happen very often, because that's why we have so many people who had children and wasn't able to provide them protection, and that causes a lot of issues. So let's suppose that we have kids, we have all we have provided everything that is needed for a consciousness to accomplish their existential program. We have to be very grateful for that. And so let's think about family life itself. Everything was programmed in the extra physicality. We had that process of pregnancy, and then the child is born. There were these issues for adaptation with each other, and okay, then we are in a family. We have everything to evolve. We have conditions. We have protection. We have education. And then what happens inside the family? We have the challenging conscience. It's another issue that in intraphysical life we have to face. We have that challenging conscience that come inside our families, and then we say, well, which karma do I have with that conscience? That I have to stand this. I would like to get rid of it. I don't know if you have asked yourselves about it when you analyze your challenging conscience. And well, let's see how can we deal with that, with this conscience that demonstrates to be to show, to sometimes they demonstrate to make destabilize us, and we have to live with them for the majority of our life. Okay. And so another thing that it's important for us to consider is, people, when we are born in a family, we inherited their genetics. And if that family has some genetic, some disease, some health issues, you will have, either for the better or for the worse, you will have that genetic as well. And what I've seen, for example, is that I have some friends here, and they were born in a family with serious genetic problems related to a certain disease. And that person said, well, all my family had this disease, but I won't have it. I will take care of myself. But she ended up having it. She ended up getting ill as well. But what she did is she tried to do the best, all to control all the health with good food, exercises, good treatment, to overcome that genetic issue. And she was able to. But that was inherited from the family. And she was in her paragenetic. She didn't, supposedly, by her research, she said, well, according to my paragenetic, I didn't have this disease. I didn't have this type of disease, but I inherited from this my current genetics. So I have more chances, probably, to overcome. And she was able to overcome. The disease I'm referring to is cancer, because cancer is something that has treatment, but some are very aggressive, and some people can't overcome a cancer and pass away. But she didn't pass away, and she's until today she's well and healthy. but that was a research she did, right? This friend of mine, about the role of genetics, and it might happen, okay? So be aware of that and try to do your best with your mesology, the mesology you have today, to recover and to overcome all possible genetic issue that you might face in your family. Okay, and so people, I mentioned also the cosmetical infiltration in the beginning, so you can consider and analyze if you are cosmetically infiltrated in your family to help them. And let's see a very important concept that Conscienciology has enlarged a little bit. That is the concept of karma. What is the karma? Have you ever thought that classic sentence, "Oh, my family is a karma to me," or "No, my family is a gift to me"? Karma, in fact, people, is neither a punishment nor a reward. Okay? It's just the law of cosmoetical causation, or the law of action and reaction. It's like a boomerang effect. That's the karma, the easiest way. What you throw to the universe, you will get it back. Okay? That's why it calls the law of return, or the law of retribution. So this is the word karma, very ancient word from the Sanskrit. But Conscienciology proposes and has the concept of holokarma that is a bit broader. And there is, let's put this way, it's a account, like a bank account, that integrates three types of consciential actions. Which are those three types? Ego karma, group karma, and polykarma. And it might be, and they are all related to the principles of cause and effect, action and reaction, and they operate along our evolutionary path. Okay, so let's see them into more details. And so the ego karma has to do with the acts for or against oneself. For example, you are a person who takes care of yourself, takes care of your health. You do exercises, you don't drink, don't smoke. So you are having acts for yourself in your next life, in your next lives. And in this life as well, you are having a very good ego karmic account. You study, you try to recycle, you try to do good actions, good doing interassistance. And so it's great. You are having a very good ego karma account. And there is also the dual karma, that is that account that is especially related to your partner, to your wife, to your husband, okay? And the same way happens. And then we are going to see the group karma, that is the results of interactions with the others. All these groups that we mentioned here, we are mentioning in this live. For example, your friends, parents, relatives, neighbors, classmates, co-workers, employees. And so you have a big group karma, and which are the results of your interactions? Are they totally balanced and good? Is there space to improve? And there is another third karmic account. There is the polykarma. That is it's a broader one, and it's more related to the collectivity, to the universe, and to a very elevated feeling, that is the mega fraternity. Usually we in our current evolutionary level, we work a lot with the ego karma and in our group karma. And we might, if we perform well these two bank accounts, we might start our polykarmic account doing things for the others that we don't know. It's not related to our group karma. It's beyond our group karma. I'll give an example. If you write a book that is not directed to your group karma, but it's a book that will help the world, help all the let's say the peoples all over the world, and you write a theory, you write someone very existential, and so you open your polykarmic account. And for example, you discover the cure of a disease, and you do invent a technological device that will help the world. So it's a polykarmic. You can open your polykarmic account from there, and that's more or less in a very summarized way this account. So we have here like a bank, okay, just for representing and for you to analyze how are my accounts, my ego karmic account. Am I doing well with myself? How is my group karmic account? Do I have things to retribute, to recompose with my groups? Because every act we do, it's like the ripple effect, okay, the domino effect. You do it, and there is an effect in the cosmos. So here is just a representation. The ego karma is more like more egocentric postures. So that's our evolutionary process, okay? We depart from an egocentric posture to a more universal and mega fraternal posture. That's what happens when we open our polykarmic account. And what another thing that is important, I like this slide, because when we are dealing with our ego karma, people, pay attention that we have less free will. We have less free will, and it looks like we have a fate. Fate and determinism rules our lives. Okay, so we say, "Wow, I don't see any way out to get rid of this situation." So it looks that you don't have free will when you are still struggling with your ego karma. But as soon as you improve that account, you start evolving, and you enter what we call in the cosmoethics flow. You start developing more consciential maturity and understanding. And that's when you improve your account, and you are going to be more prepared for assisting your group karma. You will see that there is the group karmic inseparability. You don't lose anyone. Your relations will come back to you. You will see those people again, either for the best, for the better, or for the worse. You will see them, hopefully for the better. Hope you have friendship with all of them, and you chose to be with them, nothing imposed. And if you are doing well, then you are within the cosmoethical flow, and that means that you are more prepared for the polykarma, for this broader account, and in which you will have more free will and less determinism, because you got more mature. Okay, does that make sense to you? Right? For me, I think it makes a lot of sense that whenever the more mature we get, the more we understand. And that's, I think, these concepts, they help a lot for us to understand our group karmic relations. And then we really are improving our group karmic account. And then, okay, we entered in the challenging conscience. What is that? It's a difficult person that whose behavior generally creates tension, discomfort, or conflict. in interpersonal relationships. In psychology, the challenging conscience is often characterized by persistent patterns of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that are perceived as problematic to others. And these traits can vary widely depending on the individual, but it tends to cause strain in family, social, and professional settings. So, do you know any challenging consent? Think about it, send your best energies. And what are theirs? How do they look like? What are their characteristics? Okay, or traits? Yes, Anna, do you want to say
Yes,
something?
I'd like to ask you in the possibility of this challenging consent. Generally, we are going to be kind of getting irritated or somewhat out of balance when we deal with them. But I'd like to have another approach to it, which is in psychology, you have the projection mechanism, where sometimes what irritates you in another person has to do with yourself. So how can I identify if it's not just me, or if it's both of us, or if it's just the other consent that is difficult?
Yeah, look, now I think that this mechanism is true when the projective mechanism in which you see the other's fault, but in fact they are your faults, your let's say your weak traits. But there are situations in which there is, as I told you, you really have something to solve with that consent. You really have to. There are energetic patterns that have to be recycled, that were pathological and negative, and that the presence of that consent irritates you because in a way you had a bad relationship and the energy was still there. You have to recycle it. And how? There is a technique in consciential therapy that is a therapy based on the consciential paradigm, in which every time you feel any type of discomfort, you take that discomfort, you take that sensation to yourself and ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling discomfort with this consent in this situation? And you are going to try to go deep in your self research and answer that. And you are going to see that many times that discomfort is based on any type of thought you have, any type of prejudice you have that you have to recycle. And if you recycle that, if you understand the reason that makes you feel that discomfort, and you understand, you can recycle and change the way you see the situation. You change your thought, you change your thinking, and that's going to make a huge difference because that pathological standard of energy will be undone. Okay, will be cleaned, and you are going to start a new phase of life with that consent. That won't happen anymore because you understood, you solved the problem deeply. Let's put this way, it's a very efficient solution when you understand, you do your self research and you understand the whys, and that's when we grow together. That's very significant. Okay.
Yes,
So
when I
people,
take to myself, it means that I am dealing with my ego karma in
you are
respect
dealing
to
with your
that
ego karma.
person.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes. See, really, you don't put the blame on the other. You take to yourself, take to
take
yourself research.
responsibility for your
Yeah.
part, let's say.
Take the responsibility. Exactly. Take the responsibility. It's my thought, why do I have this schema, this mental schema, okay? And what should I recycle? What should I change here to make this relationship better? Maybe you have to look that person with other eyes, as I saw in the beginning. See the strong points that consciousness, although she has things to change, you also have. She has strong points. Let's see. It's the only way, Anna, because if otherwise, if we don't see, we don't change ourselves for the better and try to change our thoughts, our sentiments, and our energy, that is, change our toxins, tocinate in another form towards that consciousness. If we don't do this, this will be always happening. And it's the ripple effect. You haven't cleaned it up, that relationship. Okay, you have to think differently about that consent.
So, I see. Sometimes we kind of recognize that energy that is related to the past, and you just have to recycle it. Right?
Yes, and sometimes what I want to mention here is not the past life. Can be past lives, but sometimes it's in this life.
Oh yeah, something that happened here.
Yeah, some misunderstanding, something happened, and I created a situation that for myself wasn't so positive, and it has to be recycled, has to be changed. Okay, and then we do it. In this technique of taking the thing to yourself, to your responsibility, is very good for many situations that we want to change.
Not easy, but good.
Not easy, but good. Efficient, let's say. And people, what are the characteristics of a challenging conscience? Usually they have rigid thinking, resistance to change, as I told you. Sometimes it's not easy, but we have to change. This conscience causes frequent conflicts and argumentativeness. Everything is that we have to discuss, to argue about things. And these challenging conscience are also, there is lack of empathy on them, emotional coldness, they are controlling, manipulative, or they might be passive-aggressive behavior. They might have passive-aggressive behaviors. And they are highly negative, pessimistic, critical, and have poor emotional regulation. And that, for example, having excess of anger, mood swings, withdrawal. Okay, so these are some characteristics of the challenging conscience that unbalance the environment. And let's think that this type of relations we have in our families, and sometimes in our nuclear families, is an opportunity for improvement. And how can we deal with them? First of all, my greatest tip: try to improve yourself first. Try to practice the self-exemplarism. Try to do exactly what we were talking about. Take the responsibility to yourself. Recycle your thoughts toward that situation and that concern, and be the self-exemplarist person. Practice tolerance and forgiveness. People, forgiveness. When you forgive people, you have freedom. You are being free from a lot of energetic, let's say, you don't get stuck in that moment. Okay, so forgiveness is a key for a lot of problems. And something that I underline it because I think it's very challenging is to develop affectivity towards that person, to like that person, sincerely like that person, and shows emotional maturity. That's very important, that with all this process, you are putting effort on that. You will end up developing emotional maturity. That's very much necessary in these relations. One has to be more mature to be the example for the other. Okay, and another thing is to replace judgment. Instead of judging the other, try to assist, try to help, see what the person needs. What do you need? What how can I help you? And help. Transform challenges into mega fraternity. What is mega fraternity? It's a very elevated feeling that is beyond fraternity. Fraternity is the sense of brotherhood. But mega fraternity is not only seeing your group karma as your brotherhood, but you are seeing, you are being connected to everything that is positive. You are connected with the cosmoetic flow. You are thinking the best, may the best for everyone happens. And that's a very elevated feeling. You don't develop from one moment to the other. It's a working process. And our family, our nuclear family, sometimes is very challenging, but it's a seed. It's a place where we are going to start seeding the mega fraternity, because if we aren't able to develop mega fraternity within your nuclear family, it's going to be difficult for you to develop to the cosmos and universe. And that's what mega fraternity is. Okay, it's that sensation of belonging and being in interassisting everyone. And another thing is maintain open and frank communication, being open to listen more than talking. Okay? Every difficult relationship is a seed of evolution. So people, the last, how to maintain open and frank communication. That's our next topic, okay? Because it's very important. Communication is the key. If we want to get along well with people, we have difficult relationships. We have to start communicating, doing our effort, not staying apart and thinking bad of the person, but let's communicate. Let's see what we can do together. Okay, so first tip for us to have an open communication with difficult people is to stay calm, grounded. A calm tone often de-escalates tension. Don't overdoing the tone. Sometimes you really want to talk to the person, but you overdoing the tone. A very good technique here is for you to install the vibrational state. There is when you move your energies upside down from feet to your head and from head to your feet in a continuous movement, and you increase that movement until you reach what we call vibrational state, where all your energies, all your holosoma, okay, your set of bodies or vehicles of manifestation, you increase that speed and vibration, and that you will be very good in these situations that you have to stay calm and grounded, because you kind of shield yourself against odd negative energies that might come from that discussion. And you are able to assist. That's great, Anna. This is a picture representing the vibrational state. It's a very helpful tool, and that helps us to be more centered and balanced, to be able to assist the other. Okay, so tip number 2: listen actively without interrupting the other. And you can say some short sentences like, yes, okay, I'm hearing this. Show understanding, even if you disagree. If you can disagree of the other, what the other is saying, but you say, I'm hearing this, I'm listening to it. Okay, what else? What else you have to say? What else is important for you? You are listening actively, without interrupting. And that I realize it. That is very important because when I was talking, having this difficult conversation, I use it to interrupt the person, to say my point of view, to argue against, to argument against. No, this was not correct. Listen first, and then when you have to talk, so after you talk, I will talk, okay? Make agreements as well. After you talk everything you want to talk, I will talk. Okay, then each one will have its time to talk. Focus on interests. What is that? Shift from arguing what each person wants to understand, from what each person wants, to understand why they want it. Why do you want this? What's the reason you are requesting this from me? Why do you think this is important? And then you are going to understand the other view and can either argument, agree, disagree, explain your point. But look, this is communication is flowing. The other way, or different than that, you will hinder communication to flow, and that's we don't want it. We don't want that. So another thing, set clear boundaries, set limits. Don't tolerate disrespect, impositions, and things that you can't accomplish, because you have to respect your values, your free will, okay? Stay solution oriented. What can we do about it? In very practical terms, how can we solve this issue? How can we solve this problem? And the sixth point, that to maintain open communication with difficult people, is to choose the right time and place for that conversations. So choose, be strategic, plan that conversation. Okay, that will help a lot. So it seems we have a question from Marcelo.
Yes, we do. He's asking if the person doesn't wish to do the recomposition, you mean like resolve the conflict, would you need to repeat another life with them if we forgave them?
That's a great question, Marcelo. I think would we need? I think it depends. We have to analyze each situation. What we see is that sometimes one person invests a lot in the recomposition and tries to do his best to recompose, to pay his debts, and to talk to that person, to be a good group karmic mate, okay? But the other doesn't do any effort. It stays the same. It can happen. So in my opinion, what makes sense is that if you can, in the next opportunity to help that people again, yeah, why not? Why not? He or she wasn't prepared in that life, but maybe in the other life you can try again. Or if you did all your best and the person is still in the same situation, ego karmic, with his ego karmic debts, and didn't see your efforts, it's not your fault anymore. You did your part. Does that make sense to you? Then you could choose, okay, I am going to free myself from this situation because I did everything I could. I think you have to talk to your evolutionary orientor, Marcelo, for this, because they will have a broader view to decide, okay?
Yeah, this is a complicated one.
But it's a good exercise to think about it. Okay, try to do the best, people. That's my suggestion for us. Let's do our best, and then possibly we're gonna be more free next life, or in this life
Perfect.
as well, because it's so refreshing when we reconciliate and we do the recomposition. We immediately feel the liberation, that because we have five um, five phases in the group karmic holokarmic course. That is, the first one is the interpretation, and then we go to the victimization phase, in which we are victims of that situation caused by the interpretation. And then it's when, after being a victimization for being a victim for a quite long time, we decide that we don't want that anymore, and so we start the recomposition. It's in this phase that we put all your efforts. We improve ourselves. We give the best we have to the other people. We try to open this, to have this open communication. It's where we really work. It gives work.
The funny situation is that when you are in this recomposition phase, it's just like that Sisyphus history. You are there pushing that big stone up to the mountain, and then the stone goes back again, and you start from the beginning. And that's something that happens until we kind of satisfy this situation and we move forward.
Very good put, Anna. It's like that Sisyphus myth. You do a lot of effort and doesn't seem your efforts doesn't show up. Okay, but they are happening. You are working, and soon you will get the liberation phase, because it's so much energy you put on there, and that situation will improve. That relationship is going to improve. You are making things right. You are in the cosmoetical flow, although maybe the other consciousness is not. And then when you enter in the liberation phase, you feel more light, free, happy. And then you are more open to the polykarmality. That is the fifth phase. Okay? Very good.
Perfect.
So, people, and there are some other conscienciological techniques I'm going to mention here. And there is the conscientiogram, that you can do your self-research, study yourself, your evolutionary struggles, and recycle your anachronic behaviors. So you can take a look in ICGE website. We have the websites of those conscientiocentric institutions for you to put into practice, to put these techniques into practice. For example, the conscientiogram, you can take courses at Conscius. Okay. Another technique that is very much welcome for reconciliation, for getting along well with those difficult conscience, is the conscious projection. And because our group karma is very big, and some people might be in the extra-physical environment, and that's very important to know. Some people are not aware that her reconciliations are not in the extra-physicality, they are extra-physical. And through the conscious projection, you can go there, talk to these people, try to help them in a way, do the clarification test, okay, exteriorize your energies, and help them, help the extra-physical environment in which those consciousnesses are. And there is a third technique that is very known, that is the Penta technique, practical energetic test, in which you do it exactly through your best energies. You are going to sterilize your energies for all your group karma, intra and extra physical. Okay, and you can also use the consciential therapy, that is the therapeutic device promoted by Conscienciology through a conscienciocentric institution called OIC. That is, its headquarters is in Foz do Iguaçu, but you can do the consciential therapy online as well. And it's also in the ICGE website, okay? OIC is the acronym for this conscienciocentric institution. There is also a technique called self-consciential therapy, in which you can apply in yourself, okay? And you can, if you have any interest on that, you can write your name here. We will contact you and pass on more information about it. But these are very common techniques inside Conscienciology. And there is a very nice book, which unfortunately is not translated into English yet, but I hope soon it will be. It is in Portuguese, but maybe you can use some artificial intelligence to translate. That is the book from Eliane Wojslaw. She has written the Groupkarmic Adjustments, Acertos Groupkármicos. It is a very nice book in which she talks about her extra-physical group, in which she did a lot of recompositions, okay? And it's interesting because her recompositions with her extra-physical group was positive, and differently from what we usually think. We sometimes we have very good relationships in our past. Many times, not only sometimes, but many times we have very positive relationships, and those consciousnesses from our past, they also want to have contact with us. They need updating, they need information, they need to know about our zeitgeist, because they're going to be the next to resonate on planet Earth. And so it's another way to help. Okay? So that's it, people. That was my webinar for today. I thank you very much for your presence here. I hope you can share this webinar link with your friends, your family, the ones who might be interested in this type of information. And thank you very much, Anna.
Very well. Thanks very much. You are very welcome to return other times. We love to have you here. And in case you guys enjoyed our conversation, please give us a like and subscribe to our channels. Thanks for joining us today. Our next Consciousness in Evolution will happen on June 22nd, and it's going to be with Professor Ana Lage. She's a psychologist, and she's very much, how do I say, she studies a lot about atherism, how to age gracefully, how to live a better life in your better years. So I think we are going to have a lot to share in the next live as well. And thank you again. See you next time.
See you guys. See you next time. Thanks, Anna.